Reputation is hanging on by the skin of his teeth. Everything dies, baby, that's a fact. But maybe everything that dies someday comes back. Put your makeup on, fix your hair up.
We're switching up the music every week this year, folks. I hope you're enjoying it. And we are back, Paradise Valley Week 4 podcast, joined by my co-host, Pat Jamross. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Charlie? Had to switch it up, a little feel-good music. We need to feel good going into week 4.
Yeah, I bet you do. 1 and 2. I feel that. And also joining us this week with a guest hosting appearance, his first ever, Matt Sheehan. Welcome to the pod.
How's everyone? How we doing? 3-0. We love where we are. We beat the Cobras. We're on to the Sandman.
Oh, yeah.
It's time to do some business.
I said it to you right before we got on, Shea. It's a lot easier to do this 3-0 than 0-3, I'm sure, huh?
Oh, yeah. If I was 0-3, I don't think I'd be on it right now.
I hear that. We got to be here no matter what. I'm sitting 2-1. J-Ross sitting 1-2. Daffy 1-2.
Long season ahead. We got that extra week. Yeah. Did out the math. We got 80% of the season left. A lot can happen.
I like that.
Sorry, also, I cut up Dapp's intro.
Yeah, didn't intro Dappy. Forgot to. My bad. What's going on, brother?
What up? Tough week. Core Scruggs doesn't break 100 2 weeks in a row and then puts up 140 on your boy. Tough. But we had a bad week.
You had some hope going into Monday night. You had a little hope. You were like 65. That's doable between Cooper and Hurts now. It's like keep dreaming, but
hey,
that's the Valley. You can't give up hope. Yes, sir. All right, let's get into it. Let's recap the week.
Yikes.
Okay, week 2 recaps. Let's bring them up.
Let's do it. All right, J-Ross, start us off with
Let's start with the
producer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start right at the top with Dapp. Jalen Hurts, like, how the hell did he get 20 points? It looked like the shittiest performance in the world. A lot of garbage time stats there, but yeah, it just wasn't there for the Spartans this week. The tears, whatever you want to call them, really put it together this week. We ragged on him about the running backs he has, and DeAndre Swift's looking like a bona fide RB1. Kareem Hunt, very similar to last year. The fact that him and Chubb can coexist, and then we know what he's getting with those other 3, Adams, Ridley, Kelsey. They're going to produce. I think the big question mark for Lane is the QB. Big Ben the week before, Teddy this week. It seems like he's just mixing and matching and kind of fell in theirs, but that's just proof of how good they're rolling right now. I wouldn't say how good they had a good week 3. Week 1 and 2, he was lucky to be 2-0. On Dapp's side, Cooper comes out with an absolute bang in week 1, and then where has he been? Jonnu Smith at tight end just hasn't been it. Mike D getting outpaced by a kick returner who is very available, by the way. Yeah, I mean, D. Henry's a stud, but it's just you're wondering if Dapp has enough to go with him. I think he's gone 0-3 on picking the right QB to start, so we'll see if he can finally figure that out this week. But yeah, I mean, 110 isn't bad. It's just when you're facing the top scorer. Oh, never mind. He had 99. Yeah. So Lane proving that he's a competitor. Let's see if he can stay up there. But I mean, I was impressed with his performance. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, real quick, looking at this, like, I think Dapp's got a decent squad. He's still in it. He's got to figure some things out, like you touched on. But I think that's a competitive playoff, challenging squad right there. Just got to put the right pieces together. On Lane's side, like, starting to look at him 3-0, like, is it legit? I think Ridley, Adams, Kelsey, absolute studs. But you start poking holes in some of those running backs. Can Swift stay healthy? Like, how good are the Lions? Hunt, too. Like, is he going to be a reliable guy? Like, yeah, he's a solid guy. But, again, Chubb's the number 1 there. So you start poking some holes in the tears. I think, he's going to have to prove himself as a sustainable, top of the league threat. But obviously early he's putting it up. And I will say, having both of those Bills running backs, I could see Moss emerging being a stud there. So I think that could be some nice running back depth. He was my one of my really solid picks there in round 10 from the draft. Any thoughts on this matchup, Shea?
quickly,
Actually,
the
I-
class between the 3-0, I think there's Sheehan, who's like bona fide top team in the league right now. And I think I'd even put a couple 2-1, maybe in a couple 1-2 teams above Lane. I think there's still a lot of questions to answer. If he doesn't have Odell sitting in the lineup week 1, and then he had a real tight, low scoring match against Kurt. So agreed. I think he still has a lot to prove.
One thing I want to hit on Lane's team before we move on is the quarterback situation with Bridgewater and then whoever he has as the backup. I don't know if he has faith in Teddy. I know he's Kirk there. He had Big Ben. I mean, is the quarterback going to be the issue that, that separates him from making the playoffs? Starting 3-0, but, some QBs be getting 20 points, 25 points a game, and there's Teddy getting 11. I mean, some weeks that could cost you.
That's a great point. I feel like there's like 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks that are like Murray, Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers, like guys you can trust to put up 20 every week, and not having one of those guys, being one of the 1 or 2 teams in the league that doesn't have one of those consistent guys, is got to be tough, especially coming down the stretch. We'll see if he can find it.
You almost wonder when he makes the call to his opponent of last week, Dap, and try and get one of those QBs. You gotta feel like that's the best option to get a good QB. Dap's got 2 of them. Most people only have 1.
Sheehan, break down this beautiful matchup here.
All right, so we have Caleb and we have Kirch. Caleb took care of business here. One thing I want to hit on is Caleb's wide receivers went off. I mean, Cooper Kupp had 26 points. What do you have?
22.
2 touchdowns, 100 yards, and 10 catches. He's a walking 20 points right now. Stafford loves them. They're throwing the ball like crazy over there. Justin Jefferson's really good too. Like, especially with Cookout. I know Madison had a good day, but Justin Jefferson and Thielen getting fed from Kirk. There's touchdown guys there also.
The whole
They
offense
did.
looked good.
I'm looking at Kirch over here. I mean, we probably talked about during the draft and after the draft, but I don't know how much faith you'd have in Sanders and Montgomery. I mean, Sanders is kind of iffy. Montgomery, I mean, he's only had half a good year of fantasy football, and the rest of his career just been kind of meh. Like, his wide receivers are really, really, really good, like Hill and Godwin and DK. But maybe you trade one of those big wide receivers for, top tier running back, get the team back on board.
Yeah, agree. I saw an interesting stat. I forget exactly. I'm going to misquote it, but it was something along the lines of there had only been in the last 3 seasons 1 week where there was the top running back was below 25 points scored. And so far through 3 weeks, I think Zeke actually ruined this on Monday night because he went over 25 points. But pretty much 2 of the 3 weeks so far, the top running back score was under 25 points. And I think what that proves or shows at least a little bit is that there aren't as many dominant running backs like we're used to. Like Sanders and Montgomery both on paper should be great, but offenses, they run so many screens, they throw the ball a lot, they have backup running backs coming in. It's just tougher to find that consistent running back points than it was 3 or 4 years ago, I'd say. And I think Kirch is feeling that.
Didn't Derrick Henry put up 44 last week?
Well, that's, week 1, I don't know who the highest scoring running back was, but he was below 25. Then Henry obviously went off, so that wasn't it. And then this past week, Zeke was the top
Jones
scorer.
hit like 40 last week also.
Oh, that was last week.
Yeah, but that's
same week. Yeah,
same thing. And those are 2 of the top guys. So I guess the point is just like there's not as many just random guys that are getting 20 carries and 5 catches at running back that you can find. And Sanders, Montgomery are some of those guys. And Jonathan Taylor on my side too is just not getting the touches and points that you might have thought he would.
Yeah, and that Bears offense looks terrible. Even the Eagles offense, I think he had 2 carries, Sanders. So you feel like it's going to be Godwin eventually. He makes a deal with someone. But yeah, I think if Kirch wants to get back to top dog in the league where he's been ever since he's got here, he's going to have to make a move pretty soon.
It's so funny. Kirch is we're used to seeing Kirch with 3 stud running backs. It feels like just week in, week out, and not the case this year. Let's jump to that next matchup. It just feels like C-Mac has had a couple of weeks where he just hasn't managed his team well and ended up in a tight loss. Like in both week 1 and this week, it was that Bucs D. And I think both weeks they got -3, and it was both weeks kind of a questionable start against 2 really good offenses. So you got to wonder what's going on behind the scenes with him. But again, Tyson Williams with only 2.2, Hopkins 3.6, Hawkinson only 2. Like that is just 3 duds right there. And any of those 3 guys having a decent game, he wins. So that's just tough to sit at 0-3. I think he's got a better team than his record indicates, but he's got to start getting his head down his shoulders here and managing the squad. Red Zone Rockers 2-1, looking good. We'll see how they do without CMC though. I think that's going to be a huge test for this team. The bench depth we hit on in the group chat, he replaced 40% of his team this morning. So it's not like the bench depth is outstanding here. I think James Robinson, Damian Harris, got a couple of good guys, but Harris didn't look great. So we'll see if the Rockers have the depth to withstand this injury. But I think, DJ Moore, CeeDee Lamb, both looking good. Pitts, I don't know. That might have been an early pick and not as solid as many people thought, but I could see him coming on. That Atlanta offense getting better. So I think both these teams have a chance. Obviously the Rockers are in a much better position, but I think both of them have a fighting chance to keep it going. It'll just be too interesting to see teams to see where they head the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think if you look at this matchup, just doing quick math between Allen and Najee Harris, that was like more than 2/3 of CMAX points right there. So just really not. But even Harris, craziest stat line guy, had like 14 catches for 100 yards, which I mean that's like only Christian McCaffrey, maybe Delvin Cook do that. So that's pretty crazy. He is looking good. Steelers look like they're going to be bad, so I do like that. And I mean, knock on some damn wood, but I'm scared it's going to happen this week. You just feel like an Allen Diggs game is due to happen pretty soon. But I don't really love the rest of CMAX team. D-Hop. I mean, D-Hop's good, but it seems like Kyler has 4 or 5 options in that offense, and it's not just what it was in D-Hop's past where he's getting fed all game. But yeah, I agree. I think CMAX record is probably worse than the team he has, but we'll see. I think he's due for some bad fantasy luck this year, and with what he had last year. And then looking at the Rockers, I mean, it's tough to lose CMC, and it'll be a real test to see what that squad's made of. I'm not too high on it, but you never know. We'll see.
I just feel like these 2 managers are on absolute opposite ends of dedication. Not necessarily dedication, that might be too strong of a word, but at least just Rockers 420 sitting on the toilet, picking up 6 guys for their bench versus the Nest not even thinking about who they're playing in D all week long. So I think this comes down to a better manager winning this matchup, to be honest with you.
100%.
I second that. Yeah.
It's just like you scrounge up a defense that just gets you 4 points and you win this game.
Yep.
It's just basic. You play the matchups. Like, yeah, the Bucs D was really good last year. It may not be the same D it is, but still, like, even if it's the Chicago Bears, when you're playing in nowadays NFL, if you're playing a top offense, you say, I want nothing to do with that.
Exactly. Especially how good the Rams have looked. Like, what the fuck? All right, I'll start this one off between you two. Obviously, Sheehan off to a great start, 3-0, put up 130. Not quite highest score. How many highest scores have you got? Just 1 this year so far?
I have 1. I lost week 1 by
2 seconds, right?
0.5 or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
2
tough.
seconds and a top one. I think you beat me by like a handful of points or half a point here. Anyways, obviously the running backs, whether it's Madison or Cook, combined with Jones, that's a solid start to the lineup. And then Thielen and Lockett too, again, we'll hit on it. Unsexy picks, that's just solid, productive guys. Kittle finally showed up. I feel like he had been a little bit underwhelming early in the year, but he's going to be there for sure. He's one of the top tight ends in the league, and Chase is looking like a legit stud. So I like Sheen's team a lot. I think it's legit, obviously, and he's going to be around for the long haul. It's good to have him back as a competitive team. And then for the Cobras, obviously Murray looking good, but rest of the team, Saquon, Joe, he's going to really have to rely on those guys. I think the wide receiver is a tough position for the Cobras. I'm interested to hear what he's got to say about it.
What's up with AJ Brown?
I mean, worse than to happen in fantasy, I think, is an injury right away in the game. Happen would both start week 1, or else I'd probably be 0-3, because there's really nothing you could do. If someone's out Thursday afternoon, it's like, all right, I'm going to next man up. I'll find someone to play. But, I think if AJ plays, I'd probably have a more respectable number than 96, but still, Feels like people are just fucking taking out their dick and slapping me in the face. Clear most points against me, but I can't even use that as an excuse because the past 2 weeks have been bad, and it goes all back to the wide receivers. Robert Woods has been terrible. We had AJ as our keeper, expecting him to be a wide receiver one. He had like 4 drops last week against Seattle, and then he pulls up his hammy. We're doing a remodel there where I think, I liked what I saw out of Ayuk. I think he had the same amount of snaps and routes as Samuel. I think he's officially out of the doghouse. So we may do a little risky start there this week, but yeah, things aren't looking good. I like what I'm seeing out of Saquon. It looks like he's finally getting back. He's going to have some of the most touches in the league. I think Joe Mixon has the second most touches. He just needs to find that end zone a couple times and he'll be a real top 10 back. But yeah, it's just tough this week when I have a lot of guys in play at 1 and Sheehan has his kicker and Jamar Chase, and Chase goes for 20. So it's like we already digged ourselves a hole and we had AJ Brown. So it was a tough task to do. And we got Carson in the end zone in the afternoon, hoping we could get Woods in, but then it's just like he just has Madison come out and put up 20. So Sheehan's got a squad and he's set up to like withstand injuries. If Cook's out, he's got Madison who can hop in and be just as good. If Jones is out, he's got Dillon. I don't know if he's going to be just as good, but he can fill him right in. So it'll be interesting to see how long Sheehan can hold those guys on the bench, just going deeper into the season with buys and stuff like that. But the way he's set up now, it's like a catastrophic injury doesn't even like really kill him because he automatically has that backup. So I like what Sheehan's done. I always believed he was a strong competitor. His name's on the trophy for a reason. He had some tough years, but it looks like this guy is easily ranked number 1 in my rankings, and I can't see him going less than 120 in the next couple weeks.
Ross, I hate to tell you, but Saquon is not going full speed at practice this week.
I mean, I like that. Well, let's take it slow, man.
Like he's limited because of injury.
No, he's going to be limited every week. They're going to take it slow. They're going to take it slow.
I think
Get out of here,
Go off the field.
Jonathan Taylor was limited today, though. Same thing. They're totally fine, and they just want to be smart with them. Sheehan, what do you think? How you feel about the squad? And I'm curious, like obviously looking good so far, but talk to us about rest of the way, how your team's lining up, and kind of what Jamross was just hitting on there too.
So I love my squad at the moment. Like Pat was saying, I got the backup for both my running backs. So basically, the only thing that's going to kill them is a COVID outbreak, because then I'm screwed. I like my wide receivers. Kittle will be good. I know the first couple weeks were kind of iffy, but Jimmy started throwing him a little bit more last game. Chase is a beast. The thing is that he's very touchdown dependent at the moment. He's only getting I feel like 5 or 6 targets a game, but he's getting in the end zone. And a lot of deep touchdowns too. So that's something to look at. And one thing that scares me a little bit too is my bye weeks coming up. I mean, right now, unless Sermon gets more starts, my backup running back is Hines, which is a little scary there. But I mean, right now it's early. It's week 4. There's no buys to worry about. So, we're rocking and rolling. We're on to Trev, and we're hoping to send it 0-4.
That would be huge. Wish we could have got him on the pod to talk a little bit about that matchup, but I'm sure he'll be on soon. Pat, you want to break down this one?
Yeah, that's a great segue. Looks like Sand finally broke 100, but didn't seem to matter. We had the Dogs with kind of another statement game. He was getting a lot of flack preseason, then he put up 66, and then he's come back with a couple big games. And I think it really, the Mike Williams pickup, I was trying to get him that week. That's a great pickup. I think as long as he stays healthy, it looks like the talent is finally coming together with a QB like Herbert. I don't really love the rest of his wideouts. Mike Evans feels like it's either boom or bust. Robinson, as I said, that offense is a little sketchy, but Gibson, Eckler, that's a good 1-2 punch. Gronk looks like he's back to being a productive fantasy tight end. We'll see with Rodgers. I mean, he didn't have that. I mean, he had an awesome drive at the end, but it didn't. 18, that's not anything too special. When you look at Sand, it's finally Zeke showed up. He looked good. He looked real good the other night. He was running hard. He was falling for 4 or 5 extra yards. If he can get those touches, it felt like a real run heavy approach. And then obviously the Cowboys got the lead. So I don't know if he's going to continue that, but then he also has Dak if they're going to pass. I think when you look at the sand, it comes down to that flex position and even like RB2. Like Clyde finally had a good game. But he's been throwing up a couple duds, and it's a must win for San. I think him and Mac, you can't. 0-4 is tough to overcome. It's not impossible, but when you look at this matchup, it's end of the day like 110 is probably around what he was projected to do, but you need to put up a little more in the Valley early on the season with no buys. It's high scoring games, and Dim's looking like he may not have the last laugh, but he's looking like he's going to be competing, unlike what people thought.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a good point. It's interesting to see like, okay, some of these teams we were talking about after week one, like Dim and Lane. I guess Lane more so before the season than week one, but like Dim, we were really kind of shitting on after week one, but he's really turned it around, and maybe that gives some hope to Sandman. Obviously, it's later in the season, so it's getting late quick, but being 0-3, you know, I think you can turn it around, and it takes a guy like CEH, you know, really figuring out, getting more involved, getting in the end zone a little bit more. Maybe, you know, Terry getting a click with Taylor Heineke, who looked good a couple of weeks ago, and Waller continuing to be a stud. Like, I could see it turning around, but it's gonna have to happen really quick. And I think some of the talent disparities in the league are starting to show themselves. So we'll see what Sandman can do.
Yeah, and it's tough that you got the hottest team in the league coming to town. So must win, but I'm scared the Sand may be staring 0-4 in the face, and his little bro sending him to 0-5.
Ooh, you got him out the week after. That's just until he gets a win, it's gonna be like, you don't want to be the one to let him get that W.
I know.
So.
Well, I got the next 2 weeks. I got Mac winless, Sandman winless, so can't let either of them get their first win.
I like that. All right, this week we're gonna get right into the previews. Let's jump into it. I'll start us off. We got a big matchup, couple of 1-2s here. Kirchy, Sanders, Montgomery. I don't know. Like, that Sanders against KC, like, he's going to have to pretty much get it all through the air, it feels like. And then, you know, solid wide receivers. Obviously, you know, the three-headed monster there with Hill, Godwin, and Metcalf. Solid team, but it's just where one of those wide receivers is really going to have to go off, you feel like, for him to put up, you know, that 120, 130 amount that he may need against, you know, a guy who's got Henry and Chubb in pretty juicy matchups here. Who Dappy goes with at QB is going to be interesting. I think, you know, he's going to become the Sandman of last year, where it's like got a little bit higher tier of quarterbacks, I think, but still that same weekly decision that could bite you in the ass. So we'll see where he goes with that. But
I think Uzan is in.
You threw who? Sorry.
I think Jalen Hurts is probably going to be playing. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot in that game, trying to keep up with the Chiefs.
No, that's fair. Yeah, but I just think the wide receivers, like, obviously Kirch has the advantage there, but I don't think it's enough of an advantage to weigh out the wide receiver or the running back advantage Dap has. So I'm going to give the edge here to Dappy. Big game, though.
Big game.
Big week. Must win week.
Sheen, what do you think of this matchup? You think C-Mac gets his first win here?
Looking at it really quick here. I mean, I don't know. I don't really like Collins' team. I mean, based on what he did last week with the Bucks D, I don't really care for that. But this week they got New England, so that's probably gonna be a high-scoring defensive week for the Bucks if he decides to keep, or he's gonna put someone else in. Who knows what he's doing? But as for actual real players, I mean, Najee against Green Bay, that could be a good one. It's gonna be a high-scoring game, though. I mean, Pittsburgh's defense has looked kind of iffy, except for that week one against Buffalo. Green Bay puts up a lot of points anyway, as it is. So Najee could have a high week there. Jacobs, I mean, he's still questionable. So if he is in play, well, it's going to be Tyson Williams, and I don't really have any faith in him. Hopkins is good. That is Kyler going to actually throw him the football. Diggs and Allen, I mean, this could be the week where they both go off.
It's gonna be.
I've always liked Hawkinson, but Chicago's got good D. So if they lock in on him, then And then who else is golfing through the football too? Looking at Pat's team, I had Murray last year, so I love Murray. Against the Rams, though, that's a very tough matchup, but could be a high-scoring game. And the Rams have a high-flying offense, and Arizona's got a pretty poor defense, so they're going to be scoring a ton of points. So if Kyler can keep up with them, then he's going to have a ton of points also. Saquon, like Chris was saying, he's questionable. He's kind of hurt all week, but he'll probably be out there. I mean, if it's a close game, he's going to get fed and keep running the football with him, throwing the football. He'll get fed if it's close. Mixon good for 18.
Big
I
projections.
I don't know about that one.
Against Jacksonville, I guess, but that is high.
I mean, if I was doing over-under, I'd say under on that one. But maybe he'll surprise me. Ayuk and Sutton, I mean, it's a little weak. I don't know. I guess I have to go with Con on this one. I don't really like how Pat's matchup is looking for him.
Diggs and Allen for at least 45 combined. Calling it.
Well, come on. I just can't take it. It's every team scores a million touchdowns. But, I think you call out Joe, and those projections did feel high when I initially saw it. But the guy, he's the clear bell cow there. Like I think week 2, he had every single running back touch. Week 1, like it's like 95% plus. Like he's up there in the top tier. He just needs to get into the end zone. His like averages, 4.4, 5, 3.5. Like he just needs a few more catches, and you just feel like they're going to be leading against Jacksonville, really feeding him. And I can see a big night. Like that's where our week starts.
That's a Thursday night game, right?
Yeah, we got a softball
big
game
Thursday
at
night.
6, come back, and we're riding JoJo. But when I look at C-Mac's team, what I do like D-Hop against Ramsey, like we're okay with that. And then the fact that Jacobs is most likely heading into that game questionable, and it's on Monday night, and C-Mac has absolutely no backup plan there. So he's either got to roll with Tyson or Williams on Sunday, or just hope that Jacobs plays. Like my real prayer is that he's questionable and C-Mac has to make the decision beforehand. But I think
Javonte Williams, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he plays on
Oh.
Monday night.
He can play either of the Williams guys.
I was thinking of
He's gotta-
Tyson Williams, not Josh Jacobs.
He can play. Yeah, neither of them play on Monday, so he has to make the decision on Sunday. But I think where we win this week is Brandon Ayuk. I drafted him high. I actually drafted him in all 3 drafts that I did this year. He got in the doghouse. I like the talent that's there. I was watching Sunday night. He was looking good. He had a TD. He dropped another one. Looked like Jimmy G was really looking for him. He was running a lot of routes. Like I just feel like this, like 8.6 feels way too low. If you look at Debo, I think he's got like 5 points higher projection, and they're pretty similar players. I need Ayuk. Cortland Sutton, need him. Just need the wideouts to show up, or else we're staring 1 and 3 in the face. We're making some drastic changes in East Coast.
Yeah.
Woods on the bench against Arizona. That's
Robert Woods is trash. It's like Stafford's 4th option. I just can't play that guy again and watch him get me 5 points.
Yeah,
guys,
like he's only going to my guys, and it's pretty funny.
Even like Deshaun Jackson catches it.
It's like every time he throws it, it's like just be a white guy for me, and it's always either Cup or Higbee. It's crazy.
I went into that game. I was like, you know what? Like this is gonna be Woods' game. They're gonna game plan for Cup, shut him down. Nope, guy just continues to go off. So,
Sheen, what do you think of this matchup here? Big one between myself and the Dimmer.
Look at it real quick here. We got a lot of green checks here for Caleb, but those sometimes don't really mean anything. Mahomes, I like that match against Philly. I mean, Philly's been kind of bad. Kamara against the Giants. I mean, which Kamara you're going to get this week? Kamara was good last week, but the week before, I mean, he's been solid, but not up to top tier Kamara. Taylor, Taylor could get a lot of carries. They should be up pretty big on Miami, especially with.
He's got to get it this week, or he might. I'm going to start.
He might see the bench after that.
I don't know about the bench, but maybe the trade block, maybe the bench.
I mean, he started off slow last year too, and then he started cooking. Cooper Cup, I love that against Arizona. Debo against Seattle. I mean, it's going to be between him and Ayuk for the wide receivers there, obviously. I mean, I like Debo over Ayuk. Lions against Chicago. I mean, it's a low projection, but I like that. I mean, there was also a tough defense last week with the Browns, but Fields looked horrible. I mean, I think I saw he had one net positive passing yard or something like that.
Yeah,
So
69
they're putting pressure
passing
on
yards
him.
and 68 yards sacked, or yards lost due to sack. Crazy.
And what's Dim got going on? Dim has Rodgers against Pittsburgh. I mean, he just always puts up points, so no worry there. Eckler's solid, especially in a half PPR. He gets a lot of catches, runs the football. If he can run the end zone and catch some passes, he'll be good. Gibson, that's the same conversation, but not as like top tier. Evans, I've never been a big Evans guy. I mean, I feel like he's just super touchdown dependent. But I feel like Brady's is going to go off in New England, especially how they lost to the Rams. And it's his return to New England. I don't know. I could see a touchdown too out of Evans. Gronk, I don't know about Gronk.
He's
Returning to New
questionable.
England, but coming off the rib injury, so
Yeah, I mean, if he's playing, he could get a touchdown or two too. I mean, I think Tampa Bay is going to blow them out. I don't think
it's hard
gonna
to.
be close.
If he plays, he's going to score a touchdown. Honestly, I'm just ready for it.
Yeah, I feel like if you have a Tampa Bay player this week, I mean, you have to play him. They're going to just put up monster points. Mike Will, I like Mike Will. I think I have to go with Caleb on this one. I think it'll be a little bit closer than what the projections say, though. I think 9.5 line is kind of a lot.
I was just going to say, I think this is the highest spread, and it feels way too high. I think Denver's got some good matchups. All right. J-Ross, what do you think of this one?
You know, just initial look, 104.9. That's really low. I think he has someone in there that's maybe not. I thought James Stoney Michelle was in there. Maybe not. But yeah, just you feel the after effects of no CMC. He's got the starter there, but it's like, is Chuba Hubbard the same player as CMC? And you know, I'm just not in on James Robinson. I think he fell into the end zone last week, but the Jags just, they look ugly. And he kind of looks like, was undrafted for a reason. I do like these wideouts with CD. I think he had a down game somewhat Monday, but you feel like Dallas is going to be passing a lot. And DJ Moore looks pretty well there. It's just I think where the Rockers either rise or fall, it's Kyle Pitts. He drafted him pretty early, and obviously the talent's there, but when you look at the tight end position, it feels like it usually takes a year or two to really transition into the NFL. So if Pitts can start producing and put up top tight end numbers, I think the Rockers will be here to stay. When you look at Lane, I mean, I'm not going to say I love his team. I still think there's a lot of holes there. I think when you look at the three middle guys of Ridley, Adams, Kelsey, yeah, that's sexy. But you just feel like eventually Chubb's probably going to really out-touch Hunt, and Swift, you know, a tough matchup against Chicago. Zach Moss at the flex, like, you know, that's really kind of just a toss-up between him and Singletary, who's going to get more touches. So I think there are some holes there, but I'm just not loving these projections this week, and just the matchups. It feels like he can feel the pressure. As Caleb said, he put a lot of guys back into waivers and picked a lot of guys up when he conveniently got up to P. But I'm going to give the nod to ACL, and he's going to be 4-0 and making me sweat out $100.
Feels like he's due for a loss at some point. I agree. I don't know if it's here. I had the big prediction when he was playing Sheehan, that he was going to end up beating him, even though he was projected to lose by 15. And it almost came true, but Aaron Jones saved Sheehan on Monday night. So I don't know if he's got that magic here, though. All right. Dr. Shi, I think that's a high projection of the week, 121.8, a little bit higher than mine. It's a solid squad. You know, we touched on it. The San Francisco-Seattle game with Lockett, and then Thielen going against Cleveland. I could see both of those being pretty high scoring games, receivers going off. And I think both those matchups for the running backs are solid and obviously both great players. So hard to see Sheehan going anything below 115 with that, talent. Does Chase get in the end zone again? Like she said, he's been pretty touchdown dependent, but against Jacksonville, you got to like his odds. T. Higgins is out too. So I like those matchups. Sandman, as we've hit on, he absolutely needs this win. Going against Carolina, they've looked good. I mean, obviously Sandman's not going against Carolina, but pretty much with both Zeke and Prescott, Zeke and Prescott there. So that matchup projections are a little bit lower for those two than I would have thought, but Carolina has looked good. Are they actually this good though? I think Dallas could prove this week that they're not. So I can see a lot of points from those two out for Sandman, which he absolutely needs. And then guys like McLaurin, OBJ, Waller really got to step up for him. And I have a feeling they will. I was looking at this matchup earlier, and I'm going to go against Sheehan again. I'm going to
wow.
Week 2, I went against him with the big projections odds, and I'm going to do it again. I think Sandman's got a little magic, and I really like these matchups. Even like a CEH matchup against Arizona, that's going to be a high-scoring game. I could see him getting involved. Their run D hasn't been great. They've been pass rushing really well, so I could see them trying to do some draws and get Mahomes away from the pressure and take it off of him and get CEH involved. So I'm going Sandman. Sheehan, you're not going to like that, but
we don't like that, but it happens. It happened in week 2.
You gotta admit, some of these matchups though, they're a little scary.
They're a little scary. Which one I had pinged in mind? I think you're right with the Clyde one there. But I don't know. I don't like OBJ against Minnesota.
I also like your point, Caleb, where it's all right. Like Carolina, they may be ranked number 1 against QBs and number 5 against running backs, but it's like they played the Jets, they played the Texans with a 3rd string QB. Like we can't really. I feel like it's too early to really dive into like top against the run or worst against the run. It feels like we need to get a few more weeks where people have more matchups. Like the Broncos are 3-0, but it's like who have they played?
I mean, going into last week, Philly was number 1 pass defense.
Exactly.
Lit up by Dallas.
100%. I mean, wouldn't be surprised to see Sheehan pull it off and go to 4-0, but it just feels like Sandman's not going to go. What's that saying? Go softly into the good night or something like that. I can't
go quietly into that good night.
Yeah, no way. Not the Sandman. I can't see it.
All right. Sandman's a competitor, so it's going to be a fight. I'm ready for it. It's too bad I'm at CVS. I'm going to kill myself there, but I'm going to have Red Zone on my phone, and we'll be rocking and rolling.
All right. Someone check in on CVS Sunday afternoon and make sure all our pharmacists are doing all right. All right, Chief, stick around for over-under. Me and Ross are going to go through this.
Yeah, I'll get through this quick. 15.1, yeah, that's a little high, but look at his last 2 games. It just feels like Tyreek Hill, the way that guy goes, it's up, down, and it feels like it's going to be a big up for him. And I think the Trippers need it, the Chiefs need it, and I think he puts together one of his 152 TDs type games.
Yep, like that. All right, hitting off that last matchup, Waller I think is going to be massive. I think that Chargers-Raiders game is going to be a real good one. I'm looking forward to just watching it, but also fantasy-wise, it's going to be a lot of points in that. Hopefully not too many for Mike Will since I'm going against him, but I think D. Waller has at least 6-7 catches and 80 yards, probably falls in the end zone at one point here or another. So I like Waller going over. Real quick, I wonder I don't even know how we did in week 2.
You both went 1, or no, Caleb went 2-0 and Ross went 1-1, I think.
All right, so I'm 2-2 and Ross is 1-3.
I basically touched on this. I don't think Chuba Hubbard is CMC, and I think the projections I think those are a little higher. I think he was in the 13s, but I think the projections, I don't know, Dab, but I think the projections are kind of assuming he's going to get the touches that CMC would get, and I could see that being more of a split backfield. It must have changed, but yeah, I'm going under Chuba, and I think it's going to be maybe like an 8 max.
Yeah, that Cowboys D is looking better than expected.
For
All
sure.
right, here I'm going Mr. fucking drops. Hollywood Brown, absolutely disgusting showing against the Lions. That was my survivor pick, and I almost single-handedly had him to blame for that loss until Justin Tucker saved John Harbaugh in my and Dappy and apparently Scuzzy's ass in the survivor pool. But nevertheless, Hollywood Brown, 10.7. That Broncos D is solid. Patrick Surtain, the rookie, has been good. I forget who else they have in that secondary, but it's a solid secondary. Obviously made Zach Wilson and the Jets look like fools last week, which isn't hard to do, but I don't see him doing much. His confidence seems to be pretty low. I think he needs a touchdown or at least a big play here, and I think they're going to be able to shut him down pretty well.
Do they have AJ Boye?
They
Not
might.
anymore.
I feel like
AJ
he's kind of washed.
Yeah, he's gone. But their safety, what's his name? Simmons is like a top guy in the league.
Yeah. Fangio's just a beast on D. Head coach there. All right. I think that's it, right, Dappy?
Yep.
All right, boys. Sheehan, thanks for joining. Appreciate you hopping on with us. It's been a pleasure. I'm looking forward to week 4.
Hey, thanks for having me. Trav,
go
good luck
Cobras.
this week.
Thanks,
All right.
Shane.
Peace.
Peace, gentlemen.
Later.
So I had to grind like that, shine like this. It didn't matter. Time I spent with some locked up shit. Back in the paddy wagon, cuffs locked on wrist. See my dreams unfold.